There are several reports on the Idaho Center for Fiscal Policy on that, several pieces of that, including the sales tax and a number of pieces that are really, really good. And so I would tell people to go to their site and just look under reports, and they're all there. And there's some really good ones on a trend for education as well, and it looks at the new education guide, the various different projections on education pieces.
Yeah, thank you. With the initiative stuff that was going on, I kind of lost track with that, and I don't know, after it got divided up into 4 separate bills, is my understanding? It didn't?
None of those bills passed.
Okay, so
Nothing.
it's just done for now?
It's done for this session.
Is it going to come up again next session?
Because it had to be funded, so.
No, the initiative.
No, initiative, so.
Yeah. Because, I mean, largely I didn't understand what the reasoning behind shortening the time so much, but increasing the number of signatures and the number of counties. Those two things work against each other.
And the question is about the initiative bill, and then towards the end of the session, they broke it up kind of into the 4 different components of it, which were the time frame, the number of signatures, the fiscal note, and single issue, which is what our laws are. And you know, at what point does it no longer become possible to have a citizen initiative? And I think that was what was most concerning to those of us up here. And I think we had the benefit of seeing this citizen initiative in action in our own community. And then, of course, during the session, my landladies spent every day knocking on doors, getting signatures down in Boise. So, you know, if we're going to have a citizen initiative, we better make sure it really can be a citizen initiative and not one where a lot of paid folks are coming in to get those signatures. I doubt that it's going to go away. I did like that they include a funding source or a funding component of it if there is a cost of it, because all of our bills have to include that, and I think we need to become a little bit more structured about that so that we do a better job with our budget. But don't expect it to go away, and it was something that our citizens really fought back against. So I was pleased that the governor vetoed it. In fact, I texted him Friday night and said, "That was a great veto, good job, I'm proud of you." And he called me, and I had a friend up for Mom's Weekend at the U of I, and I said, "I'm sorry to take this call, it's the governor." She's like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Yeah, but I used to help him chase cows in 1995, so he's kind of also Brad." So.
I'm going to take kind of a while to get to my question because I want you to understand where I'm coming from. It's concerning the work requirement with the Medicaid expansion. My understanding is the people that qualify for Medicaid expansion have an income, so they are working. And what I've read is that the work requirement was to encourage people to better themselves. People that I know that have been on Medicaid have been people who've always wanted to better themselves and have done that. I mean, there's people that I've known that were using Medicaid and became earners of 6-figure income. So it's not that people don't want to better themselves. So that's what I heard that the argument was. And it seems to me that a better way of helping people to earn more money and not have to be on Medicaid expansion would be things like raising minimum wage, encouraging more economic development for jobs, and so on and so forth. So my question is, the arguments that were going on in the House and the Senate about this work requirement, what were some of the things that were being said? I really am curious to know where people were coming, the legislators in the state were coming from with wanting that work requirement.
Well, I didn't vote for any of those, so I told them I'd love to see the money that we're going to spend making sure that people are working. I would rather that we were spending that money helping people figure out a career path or a job or some sort of a support system instead of like we're checking up on you because, you know, we're going to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. That just seemed to me like a total waste of time because it's not improving people's lives. They did really change over the course, I thought, between the first bill that came out and the last bill that got passed, so that it's, you know, there's a lot of options. You know, you're either working 20 hours a week, or you're volunteering 20 hours a week, or you're looking for work 20 hours a week. And if you're over a certain age, you don't have to be looking for work, or if you have young children at home, you don't have to be looking for work. I wish that they would have included those folks that are caring for elderly parents, something that I've been spending a lot of my time doing lately, would have been included, you know, those things that really take a lot of time and impact society as a whole. You know, there was a poll that came out right in the middle of that though, and I don't exactly remember the numbers on the poll, but it was a bipartisan poll, and the Idahoans felt that working was an important component to the Medicaid expansion, that was what was actually in the language of the proposition, that this is for working Idahoans, and so they wanted to value that goal is what my understanding was. But I wasn't arguing in favor of it, so I'm not the right person to ask. I don't know that either of these gentlemen are in the same boat as me.
I think the comment that I heard was, you know, skimming the game. And that's why I argued in terms, and I didn't, you know, vote for either one, but was to look at education as a component. And one of the major components was that if you went to school and you were 20 hours, I think it was a work requirement, but if you were a half-time student, you also then qualified. And I think that's going to be an interesting situation as we go forward. There was a lot of changes. It's still not right, but I think, you know, we're moving in at least in some direction now. Over the next interim period, I think we're going to have a chance to look at how those rules are put together and how those things. My concern was health and welfare has something like 200 vacancies now. They wanted 16 more positions to take care of this. I'm thinking, wait a minute, you know, you got people there that are earning, but they're not working, so why should we add more? And so in that last bill we did, is the appropriation bill for House and Welfare, we gave them the 16 positions, but we didn't fund it. So we sent a message to them. I'm sorry?
We did the opposite.
Oh, no, we
We
didn't.
funded them, but we didn't give them new positions.
Okay. We have a disagreement with that. So, and that's the whole nice thing about that, you have disagreements. And we'll get together and talk about it, but I remember that we specifically didn't fund it, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, that's the kind of things that you run into. Marijuana, or the 10 bill, well, that's marijuana. No, this was, I think a lot of it, what I came away from was a surprise about lack of education, common sense. People just didn't seem to have that. They snapped at an answer, or snapped at a concept, and they didn't go back and challenge that concept. Like, is hemp and marijuana the same? They come out of the same plant, so to speak, or the same genome. But you put the two of them together, and guess what happens? You ruin both. And the farmer that raises it, they come in and they find that his hemp crop is over the limit. They destroy it right there in front of him, or her. And so no farmer is going to go out on a limb and do something like that. So those are the kinds of things that really concern me. That how do we educate people in terms of, and that's what I try to do I was getting probably 100 plus emails, and I worked very hard to try to answer each one and try to educate from that email as to why things were the way they were. So hopefully that, I appreciated the emails, but it sure took some 12 to 14-hour days to do that.
I guess just a last comment on the Medicaid sideboards. The sideboard we didn't put on that Carolyn alluded to that I wish we would have been a training component. There was several bills floated out there that would have provided workforce training instead of a work requirement, and I wish we would have done that. I did want to tell you about a waiver that's a good one that we actually put in on that bill, and that's a waiver that directs the health and welfare to get the permission to pay for substance abuse and mental health services in institutions like State Hospital North. And so that saves the state money if we get that waiver, and it provides better treatment. And so that actually was a waiver that was in like every single bill that came through, good, bad, or indifferent for Medicaid expansion. And we do have that, so that did improve Medicaid expansion a bit.
Didn't a federal judge decide that a working requirement is unconstitutional or illegal? And if I've got that right, how do we, in Idaho, put in a work requirement?
Well, the judge ruled on Kentucky and Arkansas, which had a waiver from the federal government has been giving waivers for work requirements to different states. And they've been getting challenged in court. And in fact, during the hearing for the Senate bill on the sideboards that we were having, we were hearing testimony on work requirements, and that ruling came down, and it became part of the testimony right when we were there. And it definitely, I don't know if it changed our decision. I think our committee was headed to not supporting those amendments at that time. But it definitely was interesting to hear that. So that ruling's in place. It's going to be appealed, so it's going to wind its way through the court system. I'm kind of blanking right now, but there's a pretty specific reason why work requirements are not, well, I know what it is. The Affordable Care Act says that Medicaid has to, when you expand Medicaid in a state, it has to be to improve health in that state. And things that don't improve health, like a work requirement doesn't really get to anybody's health, aren't to be considered. So that's the judicial logic in there.
In fact, 1.4 million individuals have lost health care because of those work requirements.
So I would say in this bill that we did pass, if work requirements are deemed illegal, the judicial rulings continue, they fall off this bill. They just go away. They don't invalidate Medicaid expansion. We're just fine. So. Nancy, we'll come back to you.
That's fine. I just want to say somewhere up there, someone is cheering on the hemp legislation. That is documents. And he's been gone a long time, but the whole time he was in the legislature, he tried to push this through. So I'm sure he was giddy until the state control got him there.
And he was the last Republican on take back too.
Oh.
My ears are still ringing when we passed it in the committee with this individual to my right did a war dance, yelled and screamed in excitement that finally had passed. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that to the floor. So,
It's getting there.
This year.
this year.